Alright, so I hope everybody had a pretty good weekend. I did so myself. I went over to Toronto to hang out with the Toronto Magic Company. I'll share with you a little bit about that in a minute, but first I wanted to share with you something a little bit different, okay? It's actually a way to take a card and make it appear to glide along a spread of cards down into the deck. But not only that, it's a way to control any card to the top. We'll get into that in a second, but first I want to share with you all a little bit about my weekend. This weekend, I went down to Toronto to hang out with the Toronto Magic Company guys, Ben Train and Jonah Babins, and they did a little Fool Us watch party because they were on Fool Us. That's awesome! Not only that, it was actually the same episode as Danny Ortiz, so we got to watch some phenomenal magic and see Ben and Jonah. Ben and Jonah did a great job as well. I love what they do. Their magic is great and hilarious. So I had a great time hanging out with them. I got to hang out with a few other magicians, so we did some jamming. I got to see some stuff I've never seen before. There was this really cool trick with these lights, and there was a color switch for each light, and it corresponded to the red switch on the red light and the blue switch on the blue light. And you could also take the colors off the switches, and they were like little knobs, and you could move it and put like 2 on one, and then it would turn on both those colors with one switch. It was never seen something like this before, and Jonah was showing me a bunch of really mind-blowing card magic, a lot of influence by Danny Ortiz, just really mind-blowing things. And like I said, I had a great time with that. You guys can see a little bit of that here, but if you want to see their whole performance and find out if they actually fooled Penn and Teller, go check out their channel. That's the Toronto Magic Company. You can see they've got their whole performance up there, I think, now, as well as a bit of a behind-the-scenes look. So go over there, check them out, subscribe, like their videos. But before you do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to me, because obviously I assume if you're here, you like what I'm sharing. Well, speaking of what I'm sharing, let's get back to that little glider move, because I don't really have a better name for it, and Lee Asher already stole Silver Surfer. Actually, if you're familiar with Lee Asher's Silver Surfer, you might notice some similarities, and I will admit that his move did actually inspire this, but I'm not very good at doing, I'm not very good at Silver Surfer. I've always had trouble doing it without having the card fall off, or in particularly doing it with the double. But yeah, Lee Asher's stuff is incredible, and I loved his Silver Surfer move. But like I said, I could never get it down. So this is something I kind of developed as a bit of an alternative to it. And it gives me a lot more control over that card, but gives a similar illusion, a similar flourish of the card gliding along the deck. Now, I actually covered the basics of this in my twerk tutorial a while back, so if you've seen that, you probably already have a bit of a basic understanding of how this works, but I'll go into a little bit more detail now. It's fairly straightforward. Essentially, you put your thumb on top of the top card, and you move it over, and then spread the deck. That's it. Yeah, it sounds simple, but basically, I found that if you move the card over here, it doesn't interfere with you doing a spread. So again, you put your thumb on the card, you kind of just move it to the side, and then as it's still moving, you begin the spread. Your thumb of the free hand comes here, contacts the cards and starts spreading them, as the thumb continues the motion, and that helps sell the illusion of the card sliding along the entire spread. Also, I try to move my left hand away from the right, as opposed to just the right moving away from the left. I find that this helps sell the illusion of the card moving along the spread. Whereas if I just move the cards away from it, this card then becomes sort of a stationary object, and I don't think that the illusion sells as well. But that's just a personal preference. You may like it that way, you may not. So it's done kind of all in one action. It's still moving, and you spread. And then you separate and allow it to go into the spread, close up, and square up. So now how do we use this as a control to bring your card to the top? Well, it's fairly straightforward. Have a spectator, for example, say stop, right in there. And then we'll take this card, in this case the 7 of spades, and we will use it down in the center, square it up, and just a little snap, it comes right back up to the top. We can do it again, maybe even a little further down near the bottom, very slowly, and it comes right back up to the top. Okay. One more time, we'll do it again like this. Put your card right there in the center, square it up, and it goes right back to the top. Now I actually use 3 different methods to affect the same effect. So 3 different ways to control a card using the same flourish. So to start off, it's fairly simple. Have a spectator say stop, cut the deck where they said stop, and then do a double lift. I like to do a casual sort of push off double here. So you turn it over, you do your double lift, and then you're gonna turn it back over again. Now you could turn it flush and then immediately up jog it with your thumb, which works perfectly great as well. But I personally prefer to use a one tamariz subtlety here that turns over the card and leaves it up jogged. Okay, and then you can do the move there. So it just it maintains a bit of that continuation of that separation of the card being up jogged. But again, it's not necessary, and I'll put the credit for where you can actually find that tamariz subtlety there. But you can do it just by turning it over, squaring it up, turning it over here, and immediately putting your thumb on it and up jogging it again. And if you do that up to speed in kind of a fluid action, it almost feels like the card was left out jogged the whole time. So again, just to recap that, you do a double lift, show the card, put your thumb on it. Now the selection is left on top of the deck, and that is the double. And then do the move, the glider, bring it down, square it up into the deck, and then turn over the top card. And that is the first approach to using this as a control to the top. The second approach is to use a pug pass. The pug pass essentially is pulling down the cards here to do this. I like using it as a method to do a control. And if you want to look into that further and get an idea of a plethora of applications for this and see some of the most mind-blowing sleight of hand you've ever seen, go check out Chris Brown's Orbit Brown and his work, okay? Especially the Venus Trap project, okay? So like I said, this is the second method. We've got the same selection here. You turn it over here, you do a pug pass, allowing you to create a second double, and then put your hand on your thumb on top of it and repeat. Do the move again. I like to go down a little further. Say here, I'll put it down further in the deck. Okay, but again, it's still on top. Slowly square it up, and then turn it over again. Now this last time, I'm gonna leave it face up. I like to just kind of turn it face up absentmindedly as I dress the spectator, and then come back here, as if I didn't realize that I forgot to turn it back face down. It's not that I'm trying to make them think that I forgot it so much as it is just incidental that this third time it is now face up. And so the convincer now kind of happens casually as opposed to deliberately and calling attention to itself. And if you're doing an ambitious sequence and you've got a sign, for example, it adds to it. And especially that this last time you've now got it face up. So I leave it face up, I put my thumb on it again, do the same move as before, and come here and I'm just going to do a spread pass. Okay? But I'm going to show you a little subtlety I like for the spread pass, and that is when I turn this card over, it would theoretically be up jogged like that. Okay? But you'll notice my index finger is in front of it there. So what I'm going to do is turn it, and these cards come over top. And what's happening is this gets squared up by that index finger under here. Okay? So it looks like this, comes down, squared up, and my index finger touches this card as these come back, leaving it up jogged, okay? So again, up to speed, turn it over, there. And then you leave that card up jogged, do your spread pass, come over here, square it up, and then turn over the top card again. One more time, face up, come down here, turn the card over, your index finger up jogs the card above it, and leaving that up jog, you do a spread pass, and then you can come up here and square up this card. Now this is on the very bottom of the deck at this point, so what I like to do is just still square it up as if it is in the deck, and I mimic it so it kind of comes up to the side here, so they can still see it over here, same as I did before, and then continue to square up. Okay? Now you don't want to pull your hand completely free because of the parent that it's on the bottom, but if you're here and you've just completed the spread pass, and you're squaring up like this, it sells the illusion that it's still going into the center, and then you turn over the card on top, completing the sequence. So one more time just to recap, have a spectator say stop, cut the card at the top, do a casual push-off double, show the card, turn it over, put your thumb on top, slide it down into the middle, slowly square it up, snap your fingers, turn it over. You can do a pug pass / Venus Trap, switching it for another card as you do the same move again, squaring it up into the deck, turn it over. Absentmindedly put it face up this time, and while still looking at the spectator, initiate the spread, turn back, and then turn it over, switching it for the card above it, and then execute, a spread pass. Now actually that's a good thing to note there. You'll notice I had it too far forward and I lost control of it. So when you want it up jog, but you want it to stay this card far enough back that it'll still touch the palm of your hand here when you're doing the spread pass. If it's too far forward, like this, it won't be supported by your hand and it'll fall free, okay? So again, face up, slide down, turn it over, switch. Okay, keep it here so it's still contact in the palm of your hand, and that way you know that it's not too far forward like that. The corner's free, it'll fall. Okay. Execute your spread pass as your hand comes over to square up. Excellent justification for the spread pass. And snap to affect your magic moment, and there you go. Now, quick note on the spread pass. If you want to check out some teaching on that has some incredible subtleties and touches to make it essentially invisible, I strongly recommend you check out, what is his name? Shit. I can't remember. He did the clip shift. It's not Chad Long. Who did the clip shift? There's going to be a thing right here. Chad Nelson. So in the links I'll include where you can check out Chad Nelson's video on the spread pass, as well as Chris Orbit Brown's YouTube, and a link for his videos, because you can check out his Venus Trap project. And definitely check out the Toronto Magic Companies from my boy Ben Train and Jonah Babbins. So check out their Foolish Spot, subscribe to their channel so you don't miss anything. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel as well, because I don't want you to miss anything that I've got for you coming up, alright? Alright, peace out, we'll see you next time.